Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. He'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand.
Good morning, Earthlings. That's right. We have arrived. We've arrived at the end of a week, the end of another week. And today, Friday the 13th. Oh no. Oh no. What are we going to do? Well, let's find out. Friday the 13th. Okay. Got a lot of things going on today. First of all, we have our sun sign in Gemini. And it will continue to be in Gemini for the rest of this week and next week. And it will make the transition over at the end of next week. So we've got another whole week of Gemini going on. Our moon sign is currently in Sagittarius. And it's transitioning out of Sagittarius out into the next sign, which is Capricorn. So Sagittarius is a fire sign. Fire signs are all about ideas, creativity. And then you have the next one we're moving into is an earth sign. Earth sign is about practicality, physical things, the earth, the body, things that we're doing in the physical world. And so we look at these ideas, look at what's going on here, and our subconscious mind is making a journey from all of these fiery things now to earthly things. Okay? And so there's a difference in the way that we behave with these different energies and the different things we're working on. Okay? So that's what we're moving into. When we look at our list for today here, okay, we have Saturn, which is discipline, and it's in a trine. And this was with Chiron, the wounded healer. This happened just after midnight. Okay. We have at 12:04 p.m. is where we're making our move into Capricorn with the moon sign. Later in the afternoon, sometime middle afternoon, we have a opposition here. These two are opposite. The moon is going to be completely opposite of Mercury, communication. So remember, when things are opposite, it could be a good thing because they could be balancing each other out. But then there could also be some challenges because they're very different very different thoughts from that perspective, even though they're the same and have some similarity. Okay? So that's what's going on there. Now, our numerology for today, let's jump over here. Our numerology today is number 8. So here's how we arrived at 8. We got the 6 for June, 13, 1-3, and then the 2014. Altogether, you have a 17. 1 plus 7 equals 8. So that's our numerology for today, 8. So let's take a look at some of these numbers and things that are associating with us today. Number 8, strength. Okay, strength. This is righteousness. Let me go over here when I'm showing you these cards. This will be helpful to you. This here is the board that I've been showing you, the Taurus table of correspondences. Okay, and so what we have right here, as we look at this, we could see that we have all the cards here. And so we look at strength right here, and strength tells us that it's color yellow, Teth, Serpent, Leo, Fiery. Okay, this card has a meaning behind it of righteousness or right useness of the energies. If we go over to the tree of life, strength is right here. Okay, it's the path between mercy and severity. There's a great amount of strength because sometimes if there's not enough or too much, sometimes it really needs to be balanced out. So strength is very important to us. And as we can see, it's a path that opens up the path to the middle here. So it's really required. I like to think of this, a phrase that goes along with this, the strength of God is like a lion. And that the whole idea of this card is teaching us that we need to allow love to flow through our hearts first and foremost, through our heart chakra, so that everything we're doing is being colored with love, because love is really a great strength. It's a great strength to have, and it allows us to truly have access to that middle of the tree, that middle pillar. Okay? So that's number 8. So now let's go back and let's look at another one here. This one is, we know the Gemini, right? You know about the Gemini. The Gemini is the one that is, where's it at here? Gemini is the one that is lovers, Zayin, sword. Gemini, it's air sign. Okay, if we go in the tree of life, Gemini, this one goes from understanding to beauty, from what we understand to our hearts. Okay. Now we're going to go from there. We're going to look at our moon sign that we're moving towards, Capricorn. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Means I, right here. Ayin, the Hebrew letter. Ayin, I. Means we need to look through the illusions. What we see on this card is very similar to this card of the lovers, right? We've got 3 characters, male, female, and the goat character. Here you have male, female, and the angel character. Well, this shows us that we're supposed to look through the illusion, because really this is also an angel behind the guise of the devil. Above it you have, and then when we look through the illusion, we see past it, and we use the numerology to look at the 1 and the 5 and reduce 1 and 5 to a 6. And what we actually have is this, the lovers. So by using our discrimination, by using our sense of discernment, the sword of that we have available to us, which is what this is about, we're able to discern the illusions that are at hand, so we can truly see that what we need to do is connect with our higher self. And above the head here, you see the pentagram, but it's upside down. A pentagram is just a symbol of man. You got the head, 2 arms, 2 legs. That's it. If you think of the energy moving into the body, it moves into the body from the crown chakra, and then it moves on down. And we understand that we receive things from the higher and bring them on down. Well, when we go ahead and we misuse that energy, we're bringing it down first and foremost through the lower chakra. And so then the pentagram is flipped upside down, just like you're using the energy backwards, literally ass backwards, because it's not the way it should be. Okay? So that's one way I like to look at it. And then the other number we have for today, the number 13 we're looking at, and this is death. So, this does not mean death. Actually, the 13 means unity and love. It's about bringing together all of the elements to really create, because 13 is a very powerful number in the universe. We follow 13 moons during the course of a year, as opposed to 13 suns. There's no that. There's, moon cycles that go on, 13 of them. There's a lot of significance. I'm going to show you a few examples in just a bit of number 13 and how it's been used. And I like to think, and what I've come to understand, is that all of the secrets of the universe are hidden behind the number 13. And as long as one is sold at the idea 13 is bad, then they're never going to look past it. It's like somebody has done a great mind trick on the world and said these certain numbers, don't look at them because they're bad. But if you take, again, we want to use numerology, 1 and the 3 of 13 becomes a 4. 4 is the emperor, he who puts in order. And so when we start applying these different principles and looking at the tree of life, where they fall in, using the numerology to reduce things, we start to see that there is something much more significant than what meets the eye. And one of the things you also notice is when you start reducing the numbers to single digits and you look at their placement here, they're all from this point on up. Okay? They're in the upper part of the tree, which means that we're moving into a higher place in our consciousness. This is also broken up into 3 areas, 3 worlds. It's the first world here, second world here, and the third world down there. Okay? So with these different realms that's going on, we want to be able to understand that each one we're raising consciousness. Alright, so I'm just rambling, but that's what's going on, all our numbers and everything today. I'm going to move on from there. And of course, here's a zodiac, just so you can, again, double check your placements, see what's going on, help you to understand it a little bit more. The current moon phase is full moon. Now, tells us our sky. If we look tonight, Friday, 13th, Vega will be the brightest star shining in the east after dusk. It is currently the top star of the big summer triangle. The brightest star to Vega's lower left is Deneb. Look further to Vega's lower right for Altair. The summer triangle will be climbed higher in the evening all through the summer to pose the highest overhead at dusk when fall begins. Alright, so they're not pictured here, but we were looking for a triangle in the sky. Looking to the east, the top of it will be Vega, and then below that we have Deneb and Altair. And Vega, remember that was the star that, wasn't that in Contact, where she was going to Vega? It's very interesting that we look at Vega. Alright, here we have the Mayan Oracle today. Today is a 5-tone, which is called the overtone. We have a white color, which is the white color of refinement. And we have the World Bridger teaching us the lessons of life and death. This could be like the Death card in Tarot. Similar ideas, that there is no death, that we're just learning the lessons. And so we learn the lessons of what's death like and what isn't, what really death is, what does that truly mean? Does it have the same meaning to everyone, or are there those that have a different understanding of what it is? So we have this World Bridger, and timelessness is the guide. That in life everything is timeless. At some points in time, we think we need to rush things, but then as we, come to understand and get more experienced, we learn that everything is timeless and has its place, and we learn to slow down so that we're not trying to force something to happen when it's not supposed to happen, because things are going to happen when it's their time. And so as we get in synchronicity with time, we start to find out a little bit more about how the process works smoother and more efficiently for us. The Skywalker is the like-minded energy for today. The Warrior, asking questions using our intelligence, is our challenge. And the Eagle vision is our hidden power, or the occult kin. Occult. That word is another word that scares people. But occult just means that which is hidden. Nothing more, nothing less. The phrase for today is, I am power in order to equalize commanding opportunity. I seal the store of death with the overtone tone of radiance. I am guided by the power of timelessness. Space weather, solar wind 355.2 kilometers per second. Planetary K index is quiet at the moment. Corona holds nothing there. But our flare possibility is up. There's been some activity. If you recall, the last couple of days there was a couple X-class flares. So we should be feeling the effects of that anytime. Our geomagnetic storm activity is up as well. 25, 35% in the mid-latitudes, as high as 50 in the high latitudes. Tells us that coronal mass ejection hurled by the double X flare on the 10th could sideswipe Earth's magnetic field today. So, if that happens, it could result in like the auroras, the colors in the sky. Maybe you might have some static with your electric equipment, televisions, radios. All right, let's go over and look at our Jewish calendar today, being 15 Sivan. And the daily thought for today is only pure water can purify. The further you wish to take that water, the deeper your wellspring must be. Those who wish to reach to the very outside and enlighten and purify that place, they must reach deep into the womb of truth. Very cool, very good. All right, so let's take a quick look at this number 13 again. I already told you 13 means unity and love. It's not anything evil or bad. It just happens to be a day on a Friday the 13th was a date when different things happened, in history, historical events that were thought of as these are days of bad luck because, you had some really significant times and events, tragedies, like the Templars. Templars were killed on a Friday the 13th, some of the key members of it. And there's been other warlike and situations. But if you think about time and dates, it's always the same thing. We attach an emotion, a feeling to a date because of something that we're told or we've seen. 9/11. We have two instances of 9/11 now where we were given a vision of something, and that fear that was created by it or that emotion has given that date now a more significance. It's embedded in our memories. So when we hear September 11th, well, we all instantly think back to September 11th, 2001, because we've been embedded with that. So the same thing with the number 13 over and over. It's don't look at it, it's bad. Don't look at it, it's bad. Well, it just means unity and love. It teaches us a great lesson. It teaches us that, life goes through its process of change. You plant a seed dies to become the flower. And if it's a fruit-bearing plant that grows from that fruit is going to be picked off of the tree, which in essence is like a death of, because you're pulling it away from it, but it becomes something now that's going to be food for somebody else, nutrition, energy. And so life is just a process, and death is just one of those processes. So we've seen a synchronicity today between the number 13, which is our date today, and the Mayan calendar, the Mayan Oracle, with the World Bridger, teaching us similar lessons. So there's something for us to look at today. Just remember, unity and love is what this is all about, what it means. It has nothing to do with physical dying. So when we have a day today where both of these are involved, well, means that there's a lot going on. A lot of worries. There's worries that come with this card right here. Worries because there's an illusion taking place. Not seeing clearly. Okay, caught up in the lower chakras, in that lower area. Whereas this card here is a transformation that takes place. And a transformation takes place sometimes because you're caught up in this illusion. So there's going to be a transformation. But if there's a transformation, the transformation is going from this here to this, which happens to be our sun sign. So it seems that if we were to look at this as being a combination lock, seems like there's a number of different solutions that we have here, because the Gemini is what the devil becomes, the devil card, and the characters become those that are in the card of the lovers, and those are all stimulated by the death, which is the Friday the 13th, which is here today. So we've got all the pieces in place to be able to understand and make some changes, and just understanding a little bit deeper what all of this means. Anyway, let me jump over here. The number 13, this is a karmic number. It's a number of upheaval so that the new ground can be broken. It has great power. If this power is used for selfish purpose, it will bring destruction of the self, and in turn it will bring dis-ease and illness. Adapting to change gracefully will bring out the strength of the 13 vibration. Okay, and then it goes on to give some examples. It says 13 is associated with genius. 13 people do not need to strive to transmute all of their vices into virtues. Number 13, people go through many trials, tests, and temptations. Okay, so it just goes on and on about that, but you get the idea here. Okay, from the first part, it's a karmic number. It's a number of change. Change is what it's all about. Again, here's another place. It says 13, number that cleans and purifies. The number 13 brings the test, the suffering, and the death. It symbolizes the death to the matter, or to oneself at birth, to the spirit, the passage of a higher level of existence. For the superstitious, the number brings bad luck or misfortune. Okay, and here's some examples of 13 in the Bible. 13th chapter, 13 guests at the Last Supper of Jesus Christ. 13th chapter of the Gospel of St. John. During of its Last Supper with his disciples, Jesus declares that one will betray him. And after the announcement of the treason of Judas, Jesus prophesies Peter's denial. The 13th chapter of Revelation is reserved to the Antichrist and the beast. The 13th psalm is written, the fool has said in his heart, there is no God. The mystery of the seven churches of Revelation presents the winner of 13 rewards on the whole. All right, on and on. Jesus had 12 apostles. That makes 13. The Zodiac, if you look at the Zodiac, you've got 12 houses. In the middle, you've got the 13th position. Everything revolves around it. Here we have the number 13 is not an evil number as the devil has gotten us to believe, but rather it is the number of great promise and blessing. The number 13 is a number of great blessings given by God. So if we were to take the word devil right here and we were to substitute it with illusion, it says the number 13 is not an evil number as illusion has gotten us to believe. Kind of helps us understand a little bit more what is going on there simply by applying the lessons and meanings that we get from looking at Kabbalah, Tarot, and all of the system. Number 13 is a number of great blessings given by God. And then here it recaps the story of Abram, who became Abraham, and his wife Sarah. And when they had the children, and it says at 99 years old, God's promise came. At 86, Abraham tried to bring about God's promise 13 years before the promise, and given and the promise manifested. So 99 minus 86 is 13. And so here an implied or inherent within this is the number 13 again. Which is number 13 does not mean evil, but rather a powerful God-given promise that will change the world forever. Some aspect of the promises are promise to always be initiated by God and destined to change the world. It's beyond hope. Concerning, okay. Anyway, just basically about change. I'll leave it to you to read all of the rest of that. But that's what today's about. That's what a 13 is about. 13 is about change, unity and love that comes out of the change that's there. And as long as we keep focused on the positive of what's going on, and not get caught up in all the nonsense. The force is strong and the weak-minded. So you tell people, oh, that's bad, don't look at it. They believe that. Tell them over and over enough. So there's a great brainwashing which does take place in the world. And it's not a conspiracy theory, it's just what's going on. You can find out more and more as you just search. And once you understand, then you just kind of step out of the way of that, because your information unlocks that key, so we're not caught up in that whole mind trip somebody else has. Take charge of your own mind and everything is much better. All right, moving on. UFO news is next.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. All right, the first sighting here is taking us to the volcano. I did this yesterday, but this is a little bit more. Looks like the pictures are a little better here. We got the black object. This was captured on the June 9th, 4 days ago. This is the volcano Popocatépetl. in Mexico City. We have the black thing coming out of the plume of smoke right there. And then, of course, the video. The video is 42 seconds. You see the news reporter right here, so this is happening live. There it is. There's something going on up there. Okay, moving on from there. This next one here is high-ranking officials from former Yugoslavia countries may finally share their knowledge about UFOs. Have you imagined how it feels to go over state secrets from a nation that no longer exists? You are likely to experience no repercussions, zero blowback, no fear, and zero security oaths to fudge. This is what Giuliano Martinovic has been doing for nearly 20 years, not only in his native Croatia's capital, but also in 6 other independent states that once comprised Yugoslavia. Apparently, he is now into something that would give him leads. Some of them involve former Yugoslavian President Joseph Tito, a UFO above Belgrade, dead pilots, and crash MiGs. If Marinovic publishes his research in the West, he will likely to invite more eyes on him with that teaser. Currently, he is releasing it out of the Balkans. Just last month, Marinkovic took on to Croatian State Radio 2 for the Pan-Arabia incident, which features testimonies from retired civilian pilot, former air traffic controller chief, and ex-flight engineer. He will follow it up in the television with Yugoslav Air Force versus UFOs. So, follow the rest of the story. I'm going to move on. Here we have an interesting article. It says, as part of an alien invasion, I was abducted. Comes to us from Paul Schroeder over at UFO Digest. As an abductee for my whole life, I stumbled through unknowing to suspicion and then resistance and counsel to offer rare insight and advice to detect and thwart alien soul and body tampering. At night, your astral body travels through realms from angelic to demonic, spirit worlds of myriad vibrational levels, and the pictures that you see on the backs of your eyelids while you REM are not dreams but visits, souvenirs of a greater reality. Like goldfish who never suspect a greater world beyond the pond's surface, the limited awareness of humankind floats beneath the surface of a greater reality, groping, mouths agape, and fish ignorance. Aliens hybridize and invade astrally to abduct, monitor, and possess, to entangle their energies with ours, to ride the reincarnation roller coaster of our auras, giving a new meaning to silent invasion. I felt electric vibrations through my whole body while in bed, and I saw my body then separate and float out of my body in astral abductions of my spiritual essence, which retained all of my predilections and discriminations, all while leaving my chopped meat DNA contrived body bereft of spirit behind in bed. At first glance, I believed that I had died. Out of body, I had conveyor belt travels, vivid OBE, sublime and terrifying experiences at the hands of aliens, directly tied to my previously monitored thoughts, more proof of the alien proprietary monitored consciousness suffered by abductees. It says, I'm a 50-year-old, happily married father, 2 extraordinary teens. I'm one who writes landscapes, crafts his own ales, hunts mushrooms, breeds native giant silk moths, plays the bass and drums, and teaches. My wife and I have been friends and lovers for over 20 years. She supports my hobbies in writing with a skeptical and cautious approach. I've seen different subspecies of alien entities since I was a young child on Shore Reed in Brooklyn until my later years as a resident of Long Island, and I am convinced that many others also struggle to assess and grasp similar indigestible alien experiences which challenge everything we've ever been taught. Abductions and their remnant elusive memories have opened this for me, a confirmed atheist, until I saw aliens float out of my body in my bed at night. Then I knew that there was more interested in an essence that I never suspected I had a soul. So Interesting article, very interesting. There's much more too. You can click on the link there. And I also brought you up one more time this link, the National Reporting Center, to see what some of the recent sightings are. You just click here for the latest UFO reports, and then it quickly takes you over to this page. And it tells us for the month of June, there's been 77 sightings so far, 608 in May, 646 in April. So if we look at the last couple sightings, the most recent ones, it goes to the 6th, and it will catch up. It just takes a couple days for it to catch up. It's not live because things get verified and so on. But what we have here is Athens, we had fighters seem to be chasing something. Charlottesville, single steady white light, no sound. Waterloo, one small ball of white light. So anyway, the link's available there, so you can check it out. I want to keep moving on. I'll be right back.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
Continue on. So this story here, it's making its way around on Yahoo News and out there in the more public's eye. Massive ocean discovered towards the Earth's core. It says a reservoir of water 3 times the volume of all oceans has been discovered deep beneath the Earth's surface. The finding could help explain where Earth's seas came from. The water is hidden inside a blue rock called ringwoodite that lies 700 kilometers underground in the mantle, the layer of hot rock between Earth's surface and its core. The huge size of the reservoir throws new light on the origin of Earth's water. Some geologists think that water arrived in comets as they struck the planet, but the new discovery supports an alternative idea that the waters gradually oozed out of the interior of the early Earth. It's good evidence the water came from within, says Stephen Jacobson of Northwestern University. The hidden water could also act as a buffer for the oceans on the surface, explaining why they have stayed the same size for millions of years. Okay. Very interesting. If you recall, in the book of Genesis, when talked about the flood, talked about waters coming from beneath as well, right? So, and then there's also the theories, the inner Earth, that there's several races living in Earth, and that there is a sun and an atmosphere and an ocean down there. So it all kind of ties out. It just shows that scientists are always discovering more. 2 giant planets may cruise unseen beyond Pluto. The monsters are multiplying. Just months after astronomers announced hints of a giant Planet X lurking beyond Pluto, a team in Spain says there may actually be two supersized planets hiding in the outer reaches of our solar system. When potential dwarf planet 2012 VP113 was discovered in March, it joined a handful of unusual rocky objects known to reside beyond the orbit of Pluto. These small objects have curiously aligned orbits, which hints that an unseen planet even further out is influencing their behavior. Scientists calculated that the world would be about 10 times the mass of the Earth and would orbit at roughly 250 times Earth's distance from the Sun. So, let's see how that one unfolds, but it's no surprise, right? No surprise at all. Does the Earth have consciousness? Well, yes, it does. You may already be aware that there are different levels of consciousness, and that consciousness evolves from lower to higher levels of awareness. You may also know that the universal consciousness that connects and affects us all. Did you happen to know that the planetary bodies also have consciousness? Ancient traditions all over the world have long been aware of this, which is why they assign planets with particular archetypal personalities. The remnants of these are still found in astrology. I'd like to discuss our planet's consciousness, evolution, and what it means for us. So this is a really good article. I'm going to leave it for you to read, but I wanted to make it available here. And it just a good reminder of everything that we've been reading and learning about how we're evolving and the planet's evolving. We hear this in the channeled messages all the time about this evolution taking place, the Earth and us as well. So check this out and check it out. All right. I want to get into Jesus Friday here at First Contact Radio. So where do we start here? Well, we're not really starting. We're just kind of continuing. Last week I jumped in here to the Urantia book, to the information about Jesus. You can see there's a lot of things he said, a very long list of the miracles, the parables, his first sermon. So we can go on and read all about. Let's see here. What do we want to look at today? How about this one here? Okay, well, this is just a timeline of when Jesus was born. You know the story. Gabriel appears to Elizabeth and then announces that Mary's having a child. And Joseph has his dream and trip to Bethlehem, and Jesus is born. Okay, all of this. So we know the story. Let's go and just start looking through the words. How about that? How about that? There we go. The positive method of his teaching. You know what? Let's just start at the top and read down. How about that? All right. We did this one last week. Jesus simply would not accept explanations of worship and religious devotion which involve belief in the wrath of God or the anger of the Almighty. In further discussion of these questions after conclusion of the temple visit, when his father became mildly insistent that he had acknowledged acceptance of the Orthodox Jewish beliefs, Jesus turned suddenly upon his parents and looking appealingly into the eyes of his father said, "My father, it cannot be true. The Father in heaven cannot so regard his erring children on earth. The Heavenly Father cannot love his children less than you love me. And I well know, no matter that unwise thing I might do, that you would never pour out your wrath upon me, nor vent anger against me. If you, my earthly father, possess such human reflections of the divine, how much more must the Heavenly Father be filled with goodness and overflowing with mercy? I refuse to believe that my Father in heaven loves me less than my Father on earth." It says 5 Nazarene families were guests or associates with the families of Simon of Bethany in the celebration of the Passover. Simon having purchased the paschal lamb for the company, it was the slaughter of these lambs in such enormous numbers that had so affected Jesus on his temple visit. It had been the plan to eat the Passover with Mary's relatives, but Jesus persuaded his parents to accept the invitation to go to Bethany. That night they assembled for the Passover rites, eating the roasted flesh with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. Jesus, being a new son of the covenant, was asked to recount the origin of the Passover, and this he well did, but he somewhat disconcerted his parents by the inclusion of numerous remarks mildly reflecting the impressions made on his youthful but thoughtful mind by the things which he had so recently seen and heard. This was the beginning of the 7-day ceremonies of the feast of Passover. Before the day had ended, the entire attention of the chief discussion group of the temple had become focused upon the questions being asked by Jesus. Among his many questions were, what really exists in the Holy of Holies behind the veil? Why should mothers in Israel be segregated from the male temple worshippers? If God is a father who loves his children, why all the slaughter of animals to gain divine favor? Has the teaching of Moses been misunderstood? Since the temple is since the temple is dedicated to the worship of the Father in heaven, is it consistent to permit the presence of those who engage in secular barter and trade? And is the expected Messiah to become a temporal prince to sit on the throne of David, or is he to function as the light of life in the establishment of a spiritual kingdom? remarks, to his parents, but the lad was equal to the occasion. When you take into fair consideration all the factors which combine to make up the situation, you will be better prepared to fathom the wisdom of this boy's reply to his mother's unintended rebuke. After a moment's thought, Jesus answered his mother, saying, "Why is it that you have so long sought me? Would you not expect to find me in my Father's house, since the time has come when I should be about my Father's business?" Upon reaching home, Jesus made a brief statement to his parents, assuring them of his affection and implying that they need not fear he would again give any occasion for their suffering and anxiety because of his conduct. He concluded this momentous statement by saying, "While I must do the will of my Father in heaven, I will also be obedient to my Father on earth. I will await my hour." Mary did her best to introduce the nationalistic crisis. Mary did her best to induce him to enlist, but she could not budge him. She went so far as to intimate that his refusal to espouse the nationalist cause at her behest was insubordination, a violation of his pledge made upon the return from Jerusalem that he would be subject to his parents. But in answer to this insinuation, he only laid a kindly hand on her shoulder, and looking into her face, said, "My mother, how could you?" And Mary withdrew her statement. He paid compliment to his mother and eldest brother for being willing to release him, but reiterated the loyalty to a dead father, forbade his leaving the family no matter how much money was forthcoming for the material support, making his never-to-be-forgotten statement that money cannot love. In the course of his address, Jesus made several veiled references to his life mission, but explained that regardless of whether or not it might be inconsistent with the military idea, it, along with everything else in his life, had been given up in order that he might be able to discharge faithfully his obligation to his family. Everyone in Nazareth well knew that he was a good father to his family, and this was matter so dear to his heart and every noble Jew that Jesus' plea found an appreciative response in the hearts of many of his hearers, and some of those who were thus minded were disarmed by a speech made by James, which, while not in the program, was delivered at this time. That this very day, the Chazen has rehearsed James in his speech, but that was their secret. Jesus' optimistic attitude. For 4 years, the standard living had steadily declined. Year by year, they felt the pinch of increasing poverty. But by the close of the year, they faced one of the most difficult experiences of all, their uphill struggle. James had not yet begun to earn much, and the expenses of a funeral on top of everything else staggered them. But Jesus would only say to his anxious and grieving mother, "Mother Mary, sorrow will not help us. We are all doing our best." And Mother's smile, perchance, might even inspire us to do better. Day by day, we are strengthened by these tasks, by our hope of the better days ahead. Her sturdiness, practical optimism was truly contagious. All the children lived in an atmosphere of anticipation of better times and better things. His positive method of teaching. In his home and throughout his public teaching career, Jesus invariably employed the positive form of exhortation. Always and everywhere did he say, "You shall do this, you ought to do that." Never did he employ the negative mode of teaching derived from his ancient taboos. He refrained from placing emphasis on evil by forbidding it, while he exalted the good by commanding its performance. Prayer time in his household was the occasion for discussing anything and everything related to the welfare of the family. Jesus' reaction to Rebecca's love. Jesus listened attentively and sympathetically to the recital of these things, first by the father, then by Rebecca herself. He made kindly reply to the effect that no amount of money could take the place of his obligation personally to rear his father's family, to fulfill the most sacred of all human trusts, loyalty to one's own flesh and blood. Rebecca's father was deeply touched by Jesus' words of family devotion and retired from the conference. His only remark to Mary, his wife, was, "We can't have him for a son. He's too noble for us." Then began that eventual talk with Rebecca. Thus far in his life, Jesus had made little distinction in his association with boys and girls, with young men and young women. His mind had been together too much occupied with the pressing problems of practical earthly affairs in the intriguing contemplation of his eventual career about his father's business, ever to give in serious consideration to the consummation of personal love and human marriage. But now he was face to face with another of those problems, which every average human being must confront and decide. Indeed, was he tested in all points, like as you are. After listening attentively, he sincerely thanked Rebecca for expressed admiration, adding, it shall cheer and comfort me all the days of my life." He explained that he was not free to enter into relations with any woman other than those of simple brotherly regard and pure friendship. He made it clear that his first and paramount duty was the rearing of his father's family, and he could not consider marriage until that was accomplished. And then he added, "If I am a son of destiny, I must not assume obligations of lifelong duration until such time as my destiny shall be made manifest." So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So that's from the book of Urantia. It's about Jesus. Next week I'm going to get back into there, and we'll be sharing with you the story of Andon and Fanta next week. They were first family talked about there in the book of Urantia. So that's an interesting story. But Tuesday when we get back into the book of Urantia. All right, there you have it with the Jesus information. I'm going to move on here to an article. This is from In5D. Can diet improve your pineal gland? Can improve psychic ability and pineal gland function. It's from Mary Raposo. It says, we all know that eating right is a good way to maintain your health. Do you remember your mother telling you to eat your vegetables when you were a child? We all know that a diet high in raw food and vegetables is good for our physical health. But did you know that eating your vegetables can also improve your psychic ability? Research has shown that regular consumption of dark leafy greens such as kale, bok choy, collards, mustard greens, turnip greens, and seaweed vegetables improves the health of the pineal gland. Also known as the third eye or Anja chakra, the pineal gland is located at the back of the head behind the pituitary gland and serves as our center of psychic awareness. Consuming foods that are high in chlorophyll, such as dark leafy greens or seaweed vegetables, helps the pineal gland convert sunlight into electromagnetic energy, which is what your energy fields run on. Another way to improve the health and vitality of your energy field is by getting out in the sun on a regular basis. When your pineal gland is healthy, your third eye will open, and you'll be able to more easily expand and contract your psychic awareness, leading to improved visualization skills and better intuition. Just as important as it is to include foods in your diet that nourish the pineal gland, there are a few things you want to avoid if your goal is to improve its functioning. Consuming meat and fish that contain high amounts of mercury, carbonated beverages, fluoridated water, and toothpaste, and exposure to smog have been shown to block the functioning of the pineal gland. The good news is that you can restore the health by making just a few minor lifestyle changes. So here's some examples here. Eat dark, lean, leafy vegetables. Avoid meat and fish containing mercury. Eliminate carbonated beverages. Drink filtered water. Use an air purification system. Get 30 minutes of sunlight a day and switch to a non-fluoride toothpaste. If you follow these guidelines on a regular basis, you'll not only see improvement in the health of your energy field, but you'll also be rewarded with great intuitive skills. Try for 30 days and see. Okay, so there you go. It's part of the process of cleansing, of purification, making sure that we're working properly. And pineal gland is very important. It's third eye. It's how we see through dimensions of space and time. And that brings us to our message for today. Today's message comes to us from the High Council of Orion. Here we go.
Message from the High Council of Orion.
June 11th, 2014. Channeled by Holly Hawkins Marwood. Transcribed by Paul Marwood.
The Council.
Greetings, dear ones. We are the High Council of Orion. Today we invite each and every one of you to spend time each and every day looking past, looking beyond, and in a sense, ignoring your shortcomings, your failings, your woundings, and do the same for the world around you. Can you begin to shift the focus of your life away from the problems, away from the failings, the shortcomings of yourself and the people around you? Can you begin to shift your focus away from all the things that are happening in your mind that are wrong or incorrect on the planet, in the universe, with businesses, with governments, with institutions? Allow yourself some time each and every day to connect with what's happening that's right, what's happening that's good, what's happening that is in flow. We offer up this idea, the suggestion of looking for the positive, looking for the light, looking for the rightness of things as a way for you to begin to reinforce all the incredible change and transformation that's happening on the planet at this time. For those of you who are very in tune with vibrational realities, you know that what you focus on gets your energetic attention, therefore grows and expands. That which you ignore withers away and dies. What if you begin to train yourself to find those moments of light, of rightness, of perfection in the things that are happening around you so that those aspects can grow and magnify? For many your lifetime and many lifetimes have been spent problem solving, looking at what could be better and be improved to the place where there is great criticism on the planet, and particularly, what we would call spiritual criticism, where individuals feel that they have the right perception of spiritual reality and criticize and condemn that which does not fit within their idea of what is appropriate to spiritually move forward. This judgment and this criticism actually contracts energy and takes you away from the direction of ascension that each and every one of you are desiring to move at this time. We invite you to find the moments of light. Find the moments of ease. Find the moments of rightness in the world around you. If you find yourself having trouble finding the rightness in the world around you, find anything that looks like it's going well. If you watch the news, if you pay a lot of attention to what's going on in the world and it feels that your perception of the world is that things are falling apart, then we ask you to just look at the places where things are going right. If you need to, go to the places on your internet that are celebrating the good news, celebrating the ways humans are being kind to each other. There are many examples of that on the planet. Find the examples of businesses doing the right thing. Find the examples of new political leaders bringing forward new ideas. We invite you to start turning a blind eye to shortcomings and failures and begin to look at the successes wherever they are. The more you find them, the more you'll see. What this does for the expansion in your energy and your heart field is tremendous. Every moment that you can find the good in any situation, whether it's in your life or in the world around you, expands your energy field in ways that are indescribable. It's time to step into a new reality, with new energy and a new point of view. So we invite you to begin to shift your energy and your point of view to manifest the new reality that each one of you are so strongly seeking at this point in your life, in your process, in your soul level development and growth and expression. As we say, have fun with this. Have fun looking for and finding where things are working in your life and in the world around you. There is much out there to pay attention to, that is going right. Feel the difference it makes in your world. Be blessed. We are the High Council of Orion.
Alright, there's a good message. Kind of ties right in with philosophy we've been working with over here. Accentuate the good, right? And the bad's going on. We know the bad's going on. But why keep paying attention to it? That doesn't help us. You know, we need to go to the higher consciousness. The fire, the water, the air leads to the earth. So if there's a problem in the physical world, we can either try to meet it head on, but it's kind of a challenge these days because of all of the ways in which people try to stifle information. So There's plenty of conspiracies out in the world that we deal with, but in order to get to the heart of the matter, you got to really go through quite a struggle. We can get caught up in the individual things, all the negativities, or we can raise above it, go to the positive thing, accentuate the positive, and just let that other stuff go. It's not being apathetic. I like to think that here we are, we're making this journey, we're traveling through life on time ship Earth, and there's a lot of different jobs that we all have during the course of this change that's taking place. Okay, some have to steer the ship to the new direction, and doing so with their positive attitudes, the way we're looking, the way we're focusing. So there's many out there that are doing this. There are those whose job is to fend off whatever dark forces are trying to jump on the ship or may be infected as it's getting away. So there's those warrior types. So there's all different types of personalities that are part of this process of change that's going on. And I think it's important that we honor and just be aware that there's many different jobs, many different ways in which you're doing this, moving us forward, because it's a big process. That's why we have our brothers and sisters out there in space around helping us, as well as the numerous souls and volunteers that are down here that are doing the process as well. So if we accentuate the good, the positive, we'll see the positive happening, because there's a lot of beings that want that positive to happen. So let's keep on doing that. Let's jump into our meditation for today. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Close your eyes and take another deep breath. And exhale again. I want you just to imagine yourself walking because we always move through life. So we're walking, moving through life. And just being aware as an observer of all that is taking place around you. And as you're aware, you see the televisions that are blaring out news stories. You see the newspapers with headlines. You see all sorts of communication in the world. And in the midst of it, you have people walking through life, being bombarded with all of this information from all of these different sources. And as you listen to this information, you see that there's a tremendous amount of fear. It seems to be the theme that is expressed through these channels. And as you look and you see this, you begin to contemplate why this is happening. Why would so many good people put fear into the world? And you realize that it's because they are simply afraid. And so if we could find a way to overcome our fears, we'd be able to stand up against the things that we don't want to put into the world. So imagine yourself standing up by looking at the positive. And as you look at the positive things that are going on, and turn our attention away from the negative things, we begin to find that there is much more hopefulness inside of ourselves, because we truly know that we have the power to change. As we continue to look for the good, we find more good. And we actually realize that the amount of good versus the amount of evil is far, far, far greater. That we've just been tricked to looking at the evil. Because it's the only way that we would have looked at it. Because in comparison to the good, it's so, so small. So we turn our attention away from the evil. We thank it for the lessons that we have learned from it. but we turn towards the good. But because we understand that through the good we allow ourselves to prosper, to grow, to evolve, to enjoy the life that we want to enjoy. And in the good we understand that this enjoyment is not a selfish thing, but a selfless enjoyment that is wished for all, that all may share in the goodness, in the godness, in the love, the positivity. So let's just imagine ourselves going forth this weekend, this day, this Friday the 13th. Let us understand the unity and love that is 13. Let us understand the power of change and transformation that takes place in the world as we look at the positive. And let's just imagine as we go through the life this weekend that we look at all things and see the positive in them, and see if by accentuating the positive that we could cause a change to occur, be part of a change. And let's just imagine ourselves looking at the positive, so much so that all the negative drifts away, and with all the good, the world is just filled with happiness. So just imagine this, looking at the good, feeling the happiness, and think to yourself that you deserve this. You deserve this love and this happiness. And as such, you allow it to be. So let your subconscious mind continue on that journey of love, happiness, looking at the good vibes, and let's bring our conscious mind back to the present moment. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, back to the present moment, happy, healthy, and whole, looking at the world through the eyes of positivity. Take a deep breath. Exhale and open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That's the show for the week. Thank you very much for being here. So give it a shot. Let's go out there and let's just look at the world. Let's look at the positive things and see how many times when you look at a situation, how many more times you'll find more positive than negative. And you'll realize that the negative is just there because our perception just needs a tweak. So check it out. Do the experiment. See what you think. I'll be back next week. Till then, be safe. Have fun. Talk to you next week. Love you. Peace. I'm out of here.